All right, quick. Let's get into patch notes. I expect it to be a small patch, but we'll see. Anyways, hefty round of balance changes. Hey, we'll see, brother. We'll see. Oh wait, this is another following up. Exciting skins. Most requested Predecessor skin of all time. We already know Nar Bikini. Yeah. New variants, existing skins, general game updates. Yes, yes. Narbash. We'll get that on the main screen. Zoom in, enhance. Little tiki torches. Ain't nothing. Ain't hurt anybody. Bio Skylar. This is one of the skins that you could choose from when they were remodeling her. So if you like the skin, it is being added in the game anyways. New Zinc skin. Just looks like a recolor, I think, to one of her skins that already exists. Steel, another recolor. The old carbon fiber. Never hurt anybody. Some color variants, new bundles, battle pass adjustments. Battle pass ends 2 weeks earlier. Make sure you guys are finishing your battle pass. This is. I feel like some people are not going to read this and be upset. Battle pass ends 2 weeks earlier. New battle pass comes after September 2nd. That's a Paragon skin. This. I'm pretty sure this is a reskin of one of her skins that already exists. I could be wrong though. Might be a Paragon skin. Update the universe section. They do have a lore section on the website now. If you haven't seen it, up here in the universe section, you can read if you want to read some lore. I haven't read it. I don't really care to read it that much personally, but if you're interested, feel free to check that out. Somebody give me a quick TLDR. Go back up to the top. I'm late. Yeah, just check the VOD, buddy. Okay, balance changes. Let's go. Fangtooth. Global XP on kill decreased. Okay, so you get less global XP. Means you lose more value if you just like ape rotate from like solo lane or something like that and sack a bunch of waves. You might not get as much XP. You will still get the same gold value. Mini Prime, less gold and less XP on kill as well. Just basically diminishing the objectives so that they're not just perma 5v5s. And sometimes split pushing is actually like a much better play where you get more value. Towers, you get more gold per plating, and the platings don't last as long. The like buff duration. So basically, when you kill a plate, the tower gets buffed for 10 seconds, where it gets extra prots and it takes reduced damage. This basically is lowered, so now you can take towers faster, even if they have plates, and then you get more gold per plate, an extra 20 per plate. Not a ton, but it does make a difference, especially with the Fangtooth and the Mini Prime objective changes. You will get more value taking plates now in comparison, which makes it a much better trade. Minor augments, regenerator takes a little bit longer to actually get your regen. Good change, honestly. Same total healing, it just takes a longer time. This is like a pretty big nerf because I'm pretty sure when you take damage, it just refreshes the duration. So like this is actually a pretty big nerf to this augment. Probably not going to be built very much, I would guess. Farmer getting less minion damage doesn't really matter. Nobody really builds it that much anyways. It's not that OP. Just like a decent augment. I do think the other augments are probably a little better though. Boris, his swipe augment does less bonus damage when people are low HP. That's 20% reduction, 25% even on who? You're talking about the Regenerator? Yeah, I think Regenerator is pretty hard nerfed, honestly. Boris, less base HP. What is this? Less healing per level from his passive. I don't know why his passive is in the same thing as general, but okay. Damage reduction in his 2 reduced. Not a ton, just 1% per rank. So, like, increasing by 1% every rank. Kind of a big nerf, but also not really that big of a nerf. Just some minor adjustments. I do think Boris is kind of a bait character, though. I think that's like he's not as OP as I think people think he is. Countess, less healing from her blood pool augment. Her base power goes down, her base mana regen goes down, and her right click does less base damage but more damage to jungle monsters, while also having a less healing. This is like a nerf to her lane, a buff to her jungle clear, obviously. They basically just want to push her more into the jungle than in the lane. Makes sense. Crunch, nerfed late game, less damage on the empowered Q. Not, I don't really think he needs to be nerfed to be honest, but I actually don't know why they're hitting this to be honest, but I'm not upset. Does this make the empowered Q the same damage as the regular Q now? Buff for our boy. Wait, never mind. Might be a nerf. You talk about Crunch? Yeah, he's getting nerfed, buddy. Have fun. Decker, less HP. Her 1, I believe this is. More scaling, less base damage. Still OP as fuck. Still cringe. Still not a fan. Her right click, less damage when you level it. Base damage. Character's still going to be giga busted. I think this character's still absolutely insane. Still one-shots your fucking teammates. Very lame to play against, in my opinion. Drongussy, more explosion range on the rad rounds from like his augment, and it gets increased damage. Makes it easier to hit people. Your clear is better, more damage. I think this is his best augment already, and they're buffing it, so like W. He gets extra attack speed. He gets extra mana per level. His passive gets more max HP damage, and his right click gets extra base damage. Late game, but lower early game. I think this is like a pretty big buff to Drongo, especially the augment. But we'll see how he actually shakes out in the meta. But I think that is a pretty big buff. Feng Mao, his healing augment getting buffed, his duelist augment also getting buffed. I don't know why they're buffing this augment. This augment is already insane. It's already a 10% swing in your damage difference. So like you're getting 5% reduction, they're getting 5% increase, so it's a 10% difference. They're buffing this to 12% basically difference, which is insane. I don't know why they're doing that. Knockup height decreased on the knockup augment. I don't think that matters at all. His passive getting nerfed slightly just basically means you're not scaling so hard late game when you get 5 stacks. Hamstring, less scaling, not that much. This looks like less than it is. It is doubled, so like this is actually a 4% nerf plus 2% nerf, and not 3% nerf. So it's a 6% nerf, but like doesn't really matter. This character's still gonna be insane. Barely touched, especially since they buffed like the duelist augment anyways. It's just gonna offset all of these damage nerfs anyways. Gadget, Sticky Mine, Augment, Radius getting increased. I already think this is the best Augment, and it's getting increased. Pretty insane. She gets less physical power. She gets more attack speed, less regen, and less physical armor. Basically just squishier. She does get more damage, though. Sticky Mine does an extra 10 at all ranks. You can throw it through towers now, so it doesn't get stuck on towers, which is actually a huge buff. And it can stick to all jungle minions. I assumed it could already do this, to be honest. Terrain overlap radius, you won't hit the wall as much, like it won't clip the wall as much, it'll actually go to where you want to throw it. So like just nice quality of life buffs there, and then small damage increase. And then her right click also gets an extra 20 damage at all ranks. This is a pretty big buff just because it allows you to wave clear a lot better. Greystone, extra movement, less HP, I guess. His Q augment does more damage. If you go the Q augment, it'll help, obviously. And then his passive, he gets less regen and less physical armor per level. Grimmithy Timothy gets less health regen from the augment, where if you block something, you get missing HP regen, like a heal. You just get less of a heal. His basic attack timing increased. I'm pretty sure this is a nerf, if I'm not mistaken. This means it takes longer between your basics, if I'm not mistaken. Very minor nerf, but it is a nerf. And then the bubble, you get less mana regen when you actually block something. Also, bug fix, you actually get the correct amount of mana per, like when you level it. That's actually kind of big. I didn't even know this was a thing. I haven't really been playing Grim recently. Grussy is 2 getting less damage, just 5 less mana cost on the right click. Increased early game, but decreased late game. Probably a good change, honestly. His base mana growth decreased. I'm not sure why this is below his abilities, but okay. And his ult, he gets less attack speed. Less attack speed, and it's a longer cooldown. Iggy Molotov augment going from 4 bonus damage to 5. This could be like kind of significant. This is a 25% buff on his damage. Like if you get like 200 stacks, like that shit's slamming. You know what I mean? I guess it's not 200 stacks. You would have 200 stacks before you would be at 250 now, which is kind of a big buff. But we'll see if that actually makes too big of a difference. The turret scaling though going down, less HP, less armor, just allows you to actually kill a turret. It's kind of annoying to play into Iggy and you can't kill a turret in one ability. This hopefully will allow you to kill them in one ability. Where's the Skylar nerf, brother? We're in the K's. Let me get down to the S's. Calm down. Chimera, less HP, more health growth. This just makes him weaker level 1. Makes him better late game, though. This is actually like a health increase. He actually gets more HP after level like 5. He'll have more HP than he has previously. His Unleash cooldown, which is, I believe, is Q. Less cooldown early game. Or like rank 1, I guess, which means you don't have to level it as much. You really don't want to level this ability anyways, I think, in my opinion. And then Ambush, more slow, but the slow doesn't last as long. Kira, less HP, and the damage from her right click gets increased, but she has less scaling, so more base damage, less scaling. Makes it a little bit better early game, but worse late game. Not too big of a difference. Belica, extra XP from the XP augment. Irrelevant. You actually don't even want to be ahead in XP like that. Also irrelevant. Her base damage goes down, attack speed goes down, mana goes down, mana regen goes up, and mana regen growth goes up. So basically less mana and your auto attacks hit not as hard and slower. But I mean, not too big of a difference in my opinion, to be honest. Her passive getting nerfed 2%, 2 haste per level up. This is a 8 haste reduction from her passive. So instead of 40, you'll have 32 haste at max at like level 16 or whatever, level 18, I guess. You just have 8 less haste. This is like kind of a big nerf. This is probably the biggest nerf that she gets. Void Bomb going down by 10 damage, all ranks, doesn't really matter that much. But this nerf is pretty big. It just makes it a little bit harder to go like that full pen build where you have no cooldown. But she's still going to be really strong. Murgesh, less max HP and less HP per level. Cooldown refund from the augment lowered. Crazy Fool did this because he was blowing people up with fucking Astral Catalyst and making people think this augment was good. That shit's bait. It was bad anyways. I don't even know why they're buffing it. The Magical Shred augment getting nerfed as well. This is probably a good one. Makes her less annoying for tanks. And then the Mark does 5 less damage. I still don't think that character's that insane. Morn, less mana growth, less health regen. His bonus health scaling on the passive goes down from 8 to 7%. Who is OP? Do you grind now to get the diamond? Yeah, buddy, your heart stuck plat. Enjoy that. Cooldown on his passive also lowered by 1 second. This is a pretty big nerf, specifically to his solo lane. Mana cost going down on his too. And then his right click also getting reduced mana. Ult also going down by 0.5 seconds. The ult nerf and the passive nerf are pretty significant, but I think he's still going to be really strong. The champ hard stuck. Can't be the champ if he's hard stuck. Murdoch, an extra 5 movement speed. Kind of irrelevant. Muriel, an extra 10 HP. Not that relevant. Does help her a little bit early game though. Narbash, extra health growth. I think this is supposed to say increase. Extra HP per level up. Less armor though per level up, and then less attack speed per level up. Phase, extra healing on her passive. Aids, very annoying. She already heals a ton. Fuck this character. The lance slows faster, so you can stack it a little bit more. To increase his jungle efficiency. Well, he was like playable in jungle before because his Q gives attack speed or whatever, or the augment gives him attack speed. That's why they're nerfing this. Crypt, thank you for the 17 months, man. I appreciate it. Screwed up. Thank you for the follow. Crypt, thank you for the 17 months, man. I appreciate the prime. Welcome to the bird nest, brother.
Are the ones that you don't.
Okay, Rampage.
Like,
less HP,
realize, you know what I mean?
less mana growth, less regen. Basically, just nerfing his HP and his mana. Character's still going to be nuts. Less tenacity in the jungle, like the less tenacity for free when you get CC. This is a huge nerf. This is probably the biggest nerf that he gets. Stun duration on Boulder going down by 0.1 seconds, irrelevant. And then less HP on the ult. More of an early game nerf than a late game nerf, but still relevant. This also means you can't stack Sapphires as easily. Just a good nerf to Rampage. I think the tenacity nerf is probably the biggest one that he got, in my opinion. Still going to be very strong, though. Will he be the best jungler? I don't know, but he's still very strong. Still a 3-roll flex with a very strong build path right now. Rena, she's getting extra physical power, less mana, though. Her essence drop rate is a little bit further, so like you could be a little bit further away from minions, but you still get your orbs on the ground that you can still go pick them up. They don't last as long, and they change the percent chance that you have to get it.
Oh, a big snake.
Ooh, I'll add that to the collection.
Does Evenly, thank you for the prime, I appreciate it. Welcome to the bird nest, brother. Basically what this means for the stack chance is currently on the current patch, if you have too many stacks, like you won the 50-50 too many times, you get a decreased chance to get your stacks from 50% to 10%, and then if you were missing a bunch of stacks, you would just have a 90% chance to get your stacks, and you would get your stacks anyways, so it made it really hard to actually zone her out of stacks. Now, it causes, you have a less chance when you're behind to get as many stacks, but when you're ahead, you have a higher chance to get stacks, which means you can snowball harder. So basically, makes her weaker when you actually get to zone her, makes her better when she's ahead. So like, this is a good change, in my opinion. It makes it more consistent and more easily able to play against, and also gives you more counterplay to the character by punishing her early game, but allows her to actually snowball if she's ahead. Very good change. Passive, when you're hovering, you get increased gravity, so you get pulled to the ground a little faster. Not that relevant. Mortal Coil, her 1, just less damage. Cooldown also decreased. This is like kind of, well, decreased early game, but buffed late game. This is kind of like The execute's also lower. This is like a pretty big nerf, honestly, because you want the cooldown low so you get your regen, because this is your ability that gives you your regen. So like you kind of don't even want to level this anymore because the cooldown that you get is not that relevant anymore. So like good ability, you might level the 2 now before the 1, which feels bad because then you get less regen. So like I don't know if this is like that big. I have to play on it a little bit more. Also the execute lowered a little bit, not too big of a difference. You maybe lose like 1 or 2% throughout the course of the game. Her mesmer gets reduced cooldown by 0.05 seconds all ranks. Not that big of a difference. Cooldown is decreased early game though, and then the extra bonus max HP damage is increased based on the essence, so you won't do as much max HP damage. You probably level this ability second now over the 1, but it's hard to say without actually playing on it enough. Her right click, more base damage but less scaling. Helps her early game but nerfs her late game a little bit. And then her cooldown is increased by zero point 0.5 seconds at all ranks. Still really strong ability, still scales really well. This does actually help her like clear a lot early game. Like it might not seem like a lot, but like an extra 15 damage level 1 actually makes a really big difference in terms of your actual clear speed. So your clear will feel a lot better early game. And then her all 1% scaling per hit. This is per hit, so like you get a lot less damage over the course. It's probably like 15 hits or something. It's like a 15% nerf. Or probably made the changes because they turned the game into a brawler. What are you talking about? Public opinion is that Legacy map is worse. I mean, it just doesn't play well. But anyways, Revenant getting an extra 1% max HP damage or like missing HP damage on his right click. Help him out a little bit. Not sure it makes that big of a difference, honestly. If you're getting a 9% HP like missing on somebody, the extra 1% isn't going to make that big of a difference, I'm going to be honest. Richter, less HP growth, or less regen per growth, and then his passive shield getting nerfed. The passive shield, honestly, criminal. Criminal. I don't know why they're nerfing this so hard. Richter's not even like that OP because of his shields. He's a 50-50 character. You hit the hook, he's OP. That's it. I don't think they need to nerf him in this way, in my opinion. I think this is kind of a criminal nerf, and not where they should have nerfed him, in my opinion, if they were going to nerf him at all. Sereth, cooldown on her 2, decreased early game, and then cooldown decreased on her right click late game. I'm not sure why they are buffing this character, but, whatever. All my homies hate Sereth. Revert on Cyberog Dash Augment. It was 3 stacks, now it's going back down to 2 because it was OP, and he's getting less Omnivamp on his passive, and then less ultimate cooldown reduction on his passive. Very small tap to Severog, put him maybe a little bit more in line. Still going to be a strong character if you can play him well. Just might be a little bit more punishable now, especially with the Omnivamp being reduced again. Shimbi, extra power on the 1, roll extra scaling, an extra 5%. Her dash also getting an extra 5%, and then her ult getting an extra 3% per stack. Stacks up to 8 times. This could be 24% increased power. This is a pretty huge buff, honestly. She probably is going to hit very hard next patch. Sparrow, movement speed from her invis augment, she gets reduced, and then she gets a stronger self slow in her ult, and then it's also a longer cooldown early game. This is pretty significant. It might only be 3%, but this actually allows you to walk away from her now. And then this makes her not be able to reposition as much. Pretty big nerfs, honestly. That might seem kind of small. Steel, just getting less regen and less HP overall, less, less movement speed, and then also getting less armor. Just some small base stats nerfs. Nothing too crazy. Just going to be a little squishier and not move as fast. Faye, less mana, less HP, and then the slow on the bramble patch doesn't last as long, and it's not as strong. Not too insane, honestly, but definitely a nerf. You'll definitely feel it when you're running away from people. That's for sure. TB, less scaling on his grenade, less 5%. Means if you go the grenade augment, that could be 15% or whatever. This could be pretty significant. I do think his Q augment is probably the best, but this just nerfs specifically the grenadier augment. How are you doing? Thank you for the 12 months, brother. I appreciate it. Welcome to the bird
Fun
nest, brother.
fact, birds start potty training at 1 year old.
Excuse me? Is that why they're shitting on my car? Anyways, Wukong, less max HP per level, and then the stun. This is the stun. Wait, no, is this the dash or the stun? I thought this was the stun. Hold on, let me go check just to make sure. He's got fucking 6 abilities, bro. I always forget which one's which. Okay, this is the dash. My bad. This is the dash. The dash gets a longer cooldown late game, so you're not gonna be as mobile. Yurei, ultimate cooldown reduction from the augment, nerfed again. I think the auto attack one is probably her best. I think this augment's kind of bait. Max HP lowered, physical armor lowered, mana decrease. She's going to be a lot squishier. She's already really squishy. Her passive gets nerfed, less scaling, less attack speed. Not going to be as annoying. Mana cost on her Q increased, and then the lockout window. So basically, if you jump Q, uh, the time that you can then cast another ability is faster than if you had just casted the Q on the ground. They're basically just making this the same, whether or not you jump or Q on the ground. Basically just making it the same, so it doesn't feel as bad. So this is like a nice quality of life, and then mana cost increase. You'll feel that. A big problem with this character is that she never runs out of mana, even though she's spamming abilities, which is really aids. Her 2, less HP on the skulls, so you're not going to be able to like hit people for as much HP in a combo. And then also, if you miss it in the late game, it's a longer cooldown, so you're punished a little bit harder if you actually miss. Although you still get a free reset on the ultimate, very cringe, very annoying. The right click, less scaling, and then the cooldown is also decreased by another second at all ranks. The 1 second at all ranks is actually a pretty big nerf. It might not seem like a lot, but it actually you will feel that nerf a lot. Haven't been around much. Started your new job. What's up, Cheeto? I've been doing well, man. I hope your new job has been well. What kind of job you got now? Hurl hitbox. Not gonna pull you from outside the fucking hitbox anymore on some bullshit. The slow's also decreased. Scaling is increased, but the final strike hit is decreased. So basically, sorry, both of them are decreased. The actual hits are decreased, and then the final hit is also decreased, and the cooldown is increased by 10 seconds. Basically, the ability not as wide, doesn't slow as much, does a lot less damage. Pretty big nerf, honestly, to her ult. Still gets the cringe dash resets though. Still can be very strong character. Not sure if she'll be like meta like OP, but she will definitely still be very playable. Saurus, less HP, less physical armor per level, less mana per level. Oh, sorry, he gets more mana per level, but less HP, less armor. Cooldown on his dash augment. So when you dash, you get cooldown like reduced to begin with. Basically, it just lowered. So instead of 40% off your dash, you get 30% base. And then, wait, no. What the fuck is this? Am I tripping? Hold on. Now I gotta go look, bro. Is this not the dash augment? Oh, this is the right click augment, I guess, when you throw the spear. This is irrelevant. You will never go this augment. This augment sucks. There's like 0 benefit to throwing the spear. This shit sucks. It doesn't actually matter. I thought this was the dash augment getting nerfed. My bad. Yeah, this shit sucks. This actually does not matter at all. And then your dash, you get less attack speed. Or sorry, you get more attack speed. My bad. Yeah, I don't know. The throw is actually irrelevant. That shit sucks. Very minor touches as Aurus, not really too much of a difference. Brulax, you get less tenacity, or like you get less duration on the tenacity. Probably a pretty big nerf. Eviscerator, you get extra Omnivamp. Don't think this matters too much. Cleanse and Pacifier are still just better options, but Eviscerator can get its uses. Next, you get extra damage stored. Might actually make Next buildable again. We'll have to test that one. Sanctify, you get less tenacity. Cringe nerf, honestly, but probably needed. Silentium, duration doesn't last as long, thank God. Cringe ass fucking active. Typhoon, you get less attack speed per stack, and then the scaling has been increased, so you get more scaling, but you get less like base. So you actually have to build power for it to be relevant, and then the cooldown is almost doubled. The cooldown nerf is pretty huge. This going to 35 seconds is actually an insane nerf. It means you basically can't dash on people off the wave. So basically you can build this on like Bellica, and then you try to dash on the wave, and then you have it up like, before the next wave even meets. Now it's basically like you have a full wave timer between the time you get this and when you don't get it. So it's like actually a huge nerf. You have next, Rogue Crest just sucks. I agree. The stats on it just suck. Nightfall, extra Omnivamp, but less healing on the ability. This is actually a nerf. You get less healing from AoE abilities, I believe. Unless they've changed this at some point. You get 33% healing on AoE abilities, so this is a buff to single target abilities, but a nerf to AoE abilities. As the second part does not actually get reduction. So like this is a buff to single target. Characters like Kalari will benefit more from this, but characters like Fang will get nerfed a little bit more by this. You probably won't notice too much of a difference though. Combustion, extra 1 magic pen. Might make it better, might not. Lenaria, extra 50 gold off of it. A little bit extra ability haste. You're only building this on healers. It's a good item, but like you only build it on healers. It's just hard to fit, especially since you need to build stuff like Tainted so early. Tainted Charm, getting an extra increase slow. Pretty big buff, honestly. It's a 20% increase on the slow. Might be an underrated item this patch, we'll see. Warp Stream, extra 5 seconds on the ult haste. Item still sucks. Can't fucking teleport in combat. Item sucks. You get hit by dot damage, cringe. I get Megacosm procced on me. I get fucking some dumb shit. I get hit by fucking minions or whatever. I can't blink. Dog shit item. Fist of Riz, less bonus damage on minions. Makes it a little bit worse as an early game item. Tainted Guard, doing 15 less damage over the course of the dot. Pretty big nerf. Still a good item as you just kind of need it as a anti-heal item. Just makes it less OP building it early as a support. What bug fixes do we got here? Okay, this means absolutely nothing. Literally no actual bug fixes. So yeah, that's patch. Very small patch notes. Nothing too crazy. This is the patch that LAN will be played on. And overall, I think the patch is pretty good. But some stuff maybe not nerfed enough or whatnot. But I mean, we'll see. Some stuff also buffed that maybe shouldn't have been buffed, but we'll see. Overall, just like a very chill patch for LAN, and we will see how that goes.